Further covering Chapter 4 Human Development, we come to the topic childhood. Yes, the child's growth slows down during early childhood as compared to infancy. The child develops physically, gains height and weight, learns to walk, runs, jumps, and plays with a ball. Socially, the child's world expands from the parents to the family and adults near home and at school. The child also begins to acquire the concepts of good and bad, that is, develops a sense of morality. During childhood, children have increased physical capacities, can perform tasks independently, can set goals, and meet adult expectations. The increasing maturation of the brain, along with opportunities to experience the world, contribute to development of children's cognitive abilities. So, physical development. In physical development, early development follows two principles. First, development proceeds cephalocaudally, that is, from the cephalic or head region to the caudal or tail region. Children gain control over the upper part of the body before the lower part. This is why you all would notice that the infant's head is proportionately larger than his body during early infancy. Or if you see an infant crawling, he will use the arms first and then shift to using the legs. Second, growth proceeds from the center of body and moves towards the extremities or more distal regions. The proximodistal trend, that is, children gain control over their torso before their extremities. Initially, infants reach for objects by turning their entire body. Gradually, they extend their arms to reach for things. These changes are the result of a maturing nervous system and not because of any limitations, since even visually impaired children show the same sequence. As children grow older, they look slimmer as the trunk part of their bodies lengthens and body fat decreases. The brain and the head grow more rapidly than any other part of the body. The growth and development of the brain are important as they help in the maturation of children's abilities, such as eye hand coordination, holding a pencil, and attempts made at writing during middle and late childhood years. Children increase significantly in size and strength. Increase in weight is mainly due to increase in the size of the skeletal and muscular systems as well as size of some body organs. Motor development. So under motor development, gross motor skills during the early childhood years involve the use of arms and legs and moving around with confidence and more purposefully in the environment. Fine motor skills, finger dexterity, and eye hand coordination improve substantially during early childhood. During these years, the child's preference for left or right hand also develops. The major accomplishments in gross and fine motor skills during early childhood years are given in such as so we will be covering the age in years now and gross motor skills and fine motor skills. So when the child is 3 years old, gross motor skills she performs such as hopping, jumping, running, and fine motor skills such as build blocks, pick objects with forefinger and thumb. And when the child becomes 4 years, gross motor skills are climb up and downstairs with one foot on each step, and then fine motor skills of 4 years is fit jigsaw puzzle precisely. And when the child goes to 5 years, Gross motor skills run hard, enjoy races, and fine motor skills, hand, arm, and body all coordinate with eye movement. Another is cognitive development and the childhood topic. So, the child's ability to acquire the concept of object permanence enables her him to use mental symbols to represent objects. However, the child at this stage lacks the ability that allows her him to do mentally what was done physically before. Cognitive development in early childhood focuses on Piaget's stage of pre operational thought. The child gains the ability to mentally represent an object that is not physically present. You may have observed children draw designs figures to represent people, trees, dog, house, etc. So, this ability of the child to engage in symbolic thought helps to expand her his mental world. The progress in symbolic thought continues. A salient feature of pre-operational thought is ecocentrism, self-focus. That is, children see the world only in terms of their own selves and are not able to appreciate others' point of view. Children, because of egocentrism, that is the self-focus, engage in animism, thinking that all things are living like oneself. They attribute life like qualities to inanimate objects. For example, if a child while running slips on the road, he might show animism by saying road hurt me. As children grow and are approximately between 4 and 7 years of age, they want answers to all their questions like why is the sky blue? How do trees grow? And so on. Such questions help the child to know why things are as they are. Piaget called this the stage of intuitive thought. Another feature of thought during pre-operation stage is characterized by children having a tendency for centration, that is, focusing on a single characteristic or feature for understanding an event. For example, a child may insist on drinking a big glass of juice, preferring a tall, narrow glass to a short, broad one, even though both might be holding the same amount of juice. As the child grows and is approximately between 7 and 11 years of age, the period of middle and late childhood, intuitive thought is replaced by logical thought. This is the stage of concrete operational thought, which is made up of operations, mental actions that allow the child to do mentally what was done physically before. Concrete operations are also mental actions that are reversible. In a well known test, the child is presented with two identical balls of clay. One ball is rolled by the experimenter into a long thin strip, and the other ball remains in its original shape. On being asked which has more clay, the child of 7 or 8 years would answer that both have the same amount of clay. This is because the child imagines the ball rolled into thin strip and then into a ball. That means she is able to imagine reversible mental action on concrete real objects. What do you think a pre-operational child would have done? So he is likely to focus on only one aspect, length or height. Concrete operations allow the child to focus on different characteristics and not focus on one aspect of the object. This helps the child to appreciate that there are different ways of looking at things, which also results in the decline of his egocentrism. Thinking becomes more flexible and children can think about alternatives when solving problems. or mentally retrace their steps if required. Even though the pre-operational child develops the ability to see relationships between different properties of an object. He cannot do abstract thinking, that is, he still cannot manipulate ideas in the absence of objects. For example, steps required to complete algebraic equations or imagining line of longitude or latitude of the earth. The growing cognitive abilities of children facilitate the acquisition of language. Socio-emotional development. Next stages under childhood socio-emotional development take place. The important dimension of children's socio-emotional development are the self, gender, gender and moral development. During the early years of childhood, some important developments in the self take place. The child, due to socialization, has developed a sense of who he is and whom he wants to be identified with. The developing sense of independence makes children do things in their own way. According to Erickson, the way parents respond to their self initiated activities leads to developing a sense of initiative or sense of guilt. For example, giving freedom and opportunities for play like cycling, running, skating, etc., and answering children's questions will create a sense of support for the initiative taken. In contrast, if they are made to feel that their questions are useless and games played by them are stupid, the children are likely to develop feelings of guilt over self initiated activities, which may persist through the children's later life also. Self Self understanding in early childhood is limited to defining oneself through physical characteristics. I am tall, she has black hair, I am a girl, etc. During middle and late childhood, the child is likely to define oneself through internal characteristics such as I am smart and I am popular, or I feel proud when teachers assign me responsibility in school. In addition to defining oneself through psychological characteristics, children's self descriptions also include social aspects of self, such as references to social groups like being a member of school's music club, environment club, or any religious group. Children's self understanding also includes social comparison. Children are likely to think about what they can do or cannot do in comparison with others. For example, I got more marks than Atul, or I can run faster than others in the class. This development shift leads to establishing one's differences from others as an individual. Once the children enter school, their social world expands. Now, beyond their families, they also spend great amount of time with their age mates or peers. Thus, the increased time that children spend with their peers shapes their development. Now comes moral development. So the another important aspect of the child's development is learning to differentiate between the rightness or wrongness of human acts. The way children come to distinguish right from wrong, to feel guilty, to put themselves in other people's position, and to help others when they are in trouble are all components of moral development. Just as children pass through the various stages of cognitive development, according to Lawrence Kohlberg, they pass through the various stages of moral development, which are age related. Kohlberg interviewed children in which they were presented with stories in which the characters faced moral dilemmas. Children were asked what the characters in the dilemma should do and why. According to him, children approach thinking about right and wrong differently at different ages. The young child, that is the young child that is before 9 years of age, thinks in terms of external authority. According to her him, actions are wrong because she he is punished, and right because he is rewarded as the child grows, that is by early adolescence, that he develops moral reasoning through set of rules of others such as parents or laws of the society. These rules are accepted by the children as their own. These are internalized in order to be virtuous and to win approval from others, not to avoid punishment. Children view rules as absolute guidelines which should be followed. Moral thinking at this stage is relatively inflexible. As they grow, they gradually develop a personal moral code. So, as we know that by the end of childhood, a more gradual growth rate enables a child to develop skills of coordination and balance. Language develops, and the child can reason logically. Socially, the child has become more involved in social systems such as family and peer group. The next is we will going to discuss about gender and sex roles. The most important powerful roles into which people are socialized are gender roles. They specify the range of behaviors which are considered appropriate for males or females. While sex refers to the biological dimension of being male or female, gender refers to the social dimension of being male or female. There are several aspects of gender. Among these important ones are gender identity of male or female, which most children begin to acquire by the time they are about 3 years old and can accurately label themselves as boys and girls. As they grow, preferences can be evidenced in their toys and play. A gender role is a set of expectations that prescribes how females and males should think, act, and feel. Parents are important influences on gender socialization, especially in the early years of development. Through rewards and punishments, they induce in children gender appropriate and inappropriate behaviors. Parents often use rewards and punishments to teach their daughters to be feminine and boys to be masculine. Peer influence is also considered to be a major contributor to gender socialization. Parents restrict school aged girls more than they restrict school aged boys and assign boys and girls different types of codes. Chores. In everyday interactions, parents give their daughters a kind of dependence training and their sons a kind of independence training. Media, including cartoons and commercials, are known to perpetuate gender stereotypes. Research on gender stereotypes in commercials shows that across cultures, authority figures in commercials were males and women were more likely to be shown independent and domestic roles, or women are more likely to sell body products and men more likely to sell sports products. Once children learn the role of male or female, they organize their world on the basis of gender also. Children's attention and behavior are guided by an internal motivation to conform a gender based socio-cultural standards and stereotypes. Children also actively socialize themselves according to the gender mores of their culture. Once they have internalized gender standards, they begin to expect gender appropriate behavior from themselves. Young boys may refuse to wear feminine clothes in a fancy dress competition. When playing house ghar ghar, girls may refuse to play the father's role. Once they have identified with their own gender, children may model after a powerful cultural figure of the same gender. The gender typing occurs when individuals are ready to encode and organize information along the lines of what is considered appropriate or typical for males and females in a society. This is all about the topic childhood.